So today we're going to learn about ink wash. So this is mine completed, but we're going to do it step by step. So we're going to go from dark all the way on the left. We can do 5 blocks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're going from dark to light. So that's the next part. Alright, so what we're going to do is ink wash. So I've already made videos for the other ones. The only one left is ink wash. So I got my paper, I got a palette, a cup of water, I got some paper towels, and ink. So in your kit, it should be a plastic thing full of ink. It says Indie Ink on it. So if you just want to get that out, I'm going to put straight ink into a little cup on my palette. Alright, so we're going to start. Should be 5 squares. We have 2 on this side, which we're not going to worry about. Just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So on the left, we're going to be the darkest. On the right is going to be the light, just like the other ones. So what I'm going to do first, my palette, I'm going to take some water with my brush out of my cup of water and just get a good bit of water. This might take a minute or two. So just keep going, keep going. Alright, so what we're going to do is start on this one, and what is easiest to do is go from light to dark on ink wash. So you have your cup of ink, a little section of ink, a little section of water. What I normally do is just take a little bit from the ink and just dab it in the water and stir it around. Now the ink, what we just mixed with the water and a little bit of ink, may look really dark in the cup. You get a little section right here, but when you paint it on your paper, it's not going to be as dark. It's going to be a lot lighter. So if you have a scrap piece of paper, you can test it out just to make sure to see how dark it is to begin with. So I'm just going to do it up here. On your paper, you're not going to have that, but on mine, so that's pretty light. So I'm going to paint that as the lightest section. Okay? Alright. So next is, so this is the lightest we're going to go, then we go to the next. So I'm going to use the same water and ink, and then I'm going to go back and get another little drop, maybe 2, just to darken it up. Now it looks almost the same color as so to me, this and this looks exactly the same. But like I said, this is with the water in it, it's going to be a lot lighter. So if you want to test it out, well, that's way too dark. So what you want to do is you can add water to that, but what I'd rather do is just get another little cup, one little section full of water. Now it also depends on how much water you put in your section. So if you put a lot of water, it's going to make a difference also. So a lot of water is going to make it a little bit lighter. A little bit of water is going to make it a little bit darker. You just have to test it out and play around with it. So So I'm going to go back to my ink. My pure ink is the one on the left. Just put a little dab, stir it around, and then you can test it once again. So I'm noticing this is a little bit darker than the first one. So I'm going to add just a tiny bit, like barely dipping my brush into the ink and putting it in this. Just darken up just a hair more. Alright, so that looks good to me. So I'm going to do my second section. Now when it also, as it dries, it's going to get lighter too. So you also have to think about as it dries, it's going to lighten up just a tad. Alright, so that looks good to me. So go to my middle one, which is our medium tone, which is just a nice gray, which this to me looks like a nice gray. So I'm going to go back to my original water and ink that were already mixed, which was a mix up for me. Now for you, it might be, you might have to mix it. So if you don't have the right one, just take a little bit of ink and add it and test it out and see how it looks. For me, I already mixed it because that was a mistake, but it was a happy mistake. So go back to my original water and ink part, and I'm going to paint my little section. Alrighty. Then we go into the one from the darkest to our almost black. So this one needs to be pretty much really dark gray, not black, but a little bit lighter than black. So I'm going to take this one, which is still ink and water. I'm just going to add. I added 2 paint brushes full just to see. I'm going to test it out. And just see what happens. Maybe another paintbrush full just to see. Now it also depends, when you get dark like this, you have to add more ink than you think just to get it dark enough. Sometimes you want to clean your brush. Alright, so I'm going to go with what I got here. So I added 3 maybe paintbrushes full of ink to my water. And then I'm going to paint her a little square. And over here on the side, I'm just cleaning, wiping my paintbrush down with the paper towel and just make sure it's dry. Alright, so lastly, it's the darkest, so I'll just normally just use straight ink, no water, just to make it as black as possible. Alright, and that's it. So you have our value scale using ink wash. So we went from black, which is straight ink, to a lighter tone, a middle tone, and the lightest and a little bit darker. So we go from dark to light. Make sure you're testing your colors on a scrap piece of paper. I did it on my paper right here, but yours, you need to use a scrap piece of paper just to test how dark it is. Because when you look at the palette, this one was this is this, and this is this, but on the palette they all look the same darkness. which is kind of hard to see the difference. So test it out, make sure you're getting the right tone or the shade of your colors of gray.